Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Rome Business Radio. I am Roger Manus, and this is the Hardy Realty Show. We are broadcasting from the Hardy Realty Studios in downtown Rome, Georgia, on beautiful Broad Street. And it is a beautiful day today as we look out the window here and see the traffic go by and the pedestrians walk by. If you've never been downtown Rome, you need to come to downtown Rome. Check us out. And speaking of downtown Rome, if you want to get something to eat, the place to do it might be Doug's Deli. Might that be true?
Absolutely.
So welcome to the show. Our Hardy Realty representative is Keith Beecham. Hi, Keith. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm just great. Would you mind introducing our guest, please, sir?
Sure. We have with us Doug and Ben Bowling of Doug's Downtown Deli.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Did y'all bring lunch?
We did not.
We did not.
Why not?
We can have some delivered, though. That's one of our great qualities. We deliver.
Oh, well, okay. Deliver. You can
Great
order.
segue.
You can order online. You got a drive through. You're expanding. We got a lot to talk about.
We do. Exciting times.
So you're obviously Doug, so I'm guessing that's where the name came from. And Ben, you would be the son. When did you get into the deli business downtown Rome? What's the history of the place?
We started in July of 2015, 8 years ago.
Wow, good for you.
We just celebrated 8 years in the deli.
And as I recall, I always kind of have to get this question out of the way. When COVID hit, especially in your industry, big punch in the gut, how did you guys respond, react, make your way through it?
We scaled staff way back. We were doing a lot of business in the drive-through. Most people would, because, there was a time nobody could come inside.
Yeah.
So we only had a lot of family working. We had a couple other people, and we would, people could phone it in. We did, the online system, and they'd pull up to the drive-through. We'd help them, masks and everything. And
well, as I recall, didn't y'all kind of invent that drive-through because of COVID? And you said, okay, we got to do something here.
Yeah,
so you weren't built originally for it. So you're using walkie-talkies at the time, just right?
Very makeshift. We were hustling, I guess you'd say.
But you survived it. As good for y'all. Okay, so what got you into the deli business? What made you want to do it?
Well, my son was running a deli in Carrollton, Georgia, and I happened to come in and get a few salads one day, and
well, this is good.
Yeah. I talked to my son, and I was like, hey, I think this lady wants to sell this business, and would you be interested? And at the time, he was like, nah, he was good.
We had just opened.
They had just opened their little deli down in Carrollton, and he was working for another guy, and everything was good. And so I said, okay, well, I didn't feel at peace to leave my full-time job and do that by myself. It was just going to be way too much to take on. And so I kind of put it off and talked to my other son. And at the time, he was pursuing a career with Chick-fil-A. And he was interested, but I didn't feel a good peace about that, bringing him on to do that and take him away from his dream, his first dream. So later on in the couple weeks later, Ben called me back and he was like, yeah, I think we might want to look at this. He said, what are you thinking about? And so we kind of bounced it around, and I explained to him, I said, I don't feel, like I just said, a piece about leaving where I'm at, and so I'm going to help you. I can't do it all. There's no way I can be in there the whole time. And so I said, you'd be it. You'd be doing it. I'd help you, but you're gonna have the whole shebang. And I think that was what intrigued him, was that I had enough trust and faith in him that he would be able to run it by himself. And he's done a great job. He really, we've both learned a lot.
And so you just had to mull it over for a little bit, and then kind of thought about it and thought this might work.
Yeah, we were young, and we were living in Carrollton, not a lot of money, and we were like, it might be a good idea to get closer to home.
Okay, so let's talk about. Okay, the good thing is it's all worked out, but it's a lot of family. Y'all get along okay?
We really do. I think we have such a great respect for each other. That we really do. We get along great, and we early on though, we would have family meetings and stuff like on Sundays and over the weekends to try to plan and prepare for, what was coming up, or if we wanted to launch something new and different things. COVID taught us to be very innovative and to come up with, try to get new revenue streams coming in and different things in the restaurant business. And so right in the middle of COVID, we decided that we were going to expand our hours. Nobody was doing that.
Oh,
everybody was cutting their hours back, and I was like, I just feel like we need to expand. Instead of closing at 5:30, let's close at 8, and we did. And it was slow at the beginning, but it paid off. And in the end, and Ben came up with an idea of doing supper club at night. So we just kept getting these revenue idea streams coming in, and because of that, we grew from 7 employees all the way up to we have about 45 right now.
Wow!
In our one location.
Okay, so for folks that don't know, it's a traditional deli, sandwiches, salads, stuff like that.
Correct.
But you mentioned supper club. What is the supper club?
So it's basically pickup meals for families of you can buy it for 2 or for 4. The different menu every day. I think tonight's. I had looked at it earlier. I think it's meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and a salad, something like that.
Right. And
you can pick that up for 2 or for 4, and we do sales of that on the online site, DougsOnline.com. You can select the supper club option, or a lot of the orders come in via email. We send a lot of emails out.
Right. So that's just a way to tell a family, take the night off from cooking.
Right.
And get us something, but that's, like I said, that's meatloaf. It's not a club sandwich.
Right. And it's like real cooked food. We're not opening cans. Like we're actually, we're cooking mashed potatoes, like we're cooking potatoes, making mashed potatoes.
Wow. Okay. So Keith, Hardy's kind of gotten involved here a little bit in the property management side because you guys are expanding, adding a location, right? Mm-hmm. So do you reach out to Hardy? Does Hardy reach out? How does that happen? Or do you just tell people I'm looking around? And
I'll tell you how the partnership came about. Jimmy Byers was in our deli, and I just had started 2 or 3 years ago mentioning to him that we really wanted. It really is before COVID, and then when COVID hit, everything just stopped.
Yeah, it delayed but yeah,
right. Well, Jimmy, he's such a great guy, and he picked it back up. He'd come in the deli, he'd pick up a sandwich and say, "Hey, what are you still thinking about expanding? You still thinking about doing something new?" And I said, "Absolutely." And then he introduced us to Keith, and together Keith and Jimmy found us a place, and we've been looking for a long time. We really have. And those guys are very patient because they would bring up all kinds of stuff, that's opened up, and that. But the great thing about it, the working relationship that we have with Hardy, is that they both are kind of preface up front, "Hey, if this isn't for you, just let us know. It's no big deal. We're not forcing anything on you." And that was a great thing. And so then when we found the right piece, I'll let Keith talk about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we, after, like Doug said, we went through several different spaces and kept looking, and we had the space over on Redmond Road. And originally it was just, it was 2 slabs of potential commercial building, and the owners at that location, Jeff Brooks is one of them. They went ahead and built one of the buildings, and it's about a 4,000 square foot building that they put. So when they put the building in place, it kind of gave you a little bit more of what you had there. It's hard to look at a piece of concrete sometimes and see.
Yeah.
And once they once he built the building and it started to take shape, and I went back to Doug and I said, "Look," I said, "you need to come back and look at this building now that it's been built, and take a look at it and see if." And so we went over there, and I think we looked at it the first time, and it got a little bit of interest after seeing it, and then he brought the family back over, and they looked at it, and after a couple of visits over there, I think we started really talking about, is this a possibility? And at that point, it was just, kind of negotiating the whole thing out with the owners and getting to the right everything for everybody. And we did. And I think they're going, I think it's a killer location over there.
Well, yeah. What's the exact location? There's kind of been a buzz around town. Everybody sort of knows, but what's the exact location?
It is the address is 10 Redmond Road. It is on the corner, essentially, of Redmond Road and Martha Berry, kind of right next to the Wells Fargo bank that's there, and right by the CVS pharmacy.
That sounds like a busy intersection to me, with a lot of traffic flow for potential customers.
You have that, and then you have the Harbin Clinic right there. You have the hospital right down the street.
People can walk from the Harbin Clinic.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Right in the middle of town.
Okay.
So the greatest thing that we did was we went over there to look at it with Keith, and it happened to be at lunchtime. It was right around noon, which is very rare for us to leave the deli here downtown and go be anywhere at noon. And so when we got over there, I started looking at all the traffic, and that's exactly what I saw is, wow, that's a huge intersection there. Yeah. And then the next biggest intersection is the one right beside it, the turnpike. I don't know what
the bypass.
Yeah, the bypass and Martha Berry 27.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Whatever it becomes.
Right, and so that's where we really began to see. And then I've had so many conversations with professionals over at Harbin, doctors and nurses, and then at the Advent Health. So they're all just super excited about us coming.
When you first he's showing you different properties. First of all, I guess it must be satisfying you want to please them, and you're showing them properties, and that doesn't work. But when you finally find, from your perspective, when you finally find something that makes them happy, how does that make you guys feel?
I mean, that's our goal. I mean, that we're this is a service business. We're trying to help our clients out and find them what they need. And, in the end, yeah, it's our ultimate goal. And when you finally find that spot that you feel like is the best spot for them and they're happy with it, yeah, it absolutely is satisfying.
And when you're first looking at the property, is your mind's eye working? Or are you imagining, hey, if we'd put a drive-through, this is how we'd want the traffic flow, things like that? Are you trying to imagine that? And has it come to fruition the way you wanted it to? Yeah,
yeah, I think so. I do know when we first looked at it, when it was just a concrete slab, we'd kind of kicked the idea around, and we were all just kind of like, I don't know, but when the building started going up, then you can start to see it. And it's a beautiful building. It's a big brick building. But yeah, the drive-through, it's going to be big. It's going to come out to 2 lanes. It's going to kind of filter to 1, up closer to the building. But yeah, I mean, it's, big windows on all sides.
Because y'all are having to worry about traffic flow. You're having to worry about where the kitchen is, to the best way to get food to the window and to the seating area.
Right. We're still working all those details out. Yeah. It's going to be a big operation for sure. A lot bigger kitchen. The kitchen size is going to, the space is going to be similar to what we have, but the equipment that, what we're running down here is almost a glorified snack shack. We don't have much going on. We've got a couple of sandwich lines. We've got a couple steamers. Grill.
That's a good name.
Glorified snack
Doug's
shack.
Glorified Snack Shack.
Yeah, I mean, we're putting out some good food from a glorified snack shack.
Yeah, it is good. So, is the menu going to be the same at the new place?
It's going to be a lot of the same. We're taking most of the menu, if not all, and then we're adding French fries, and we're adding hamburgers and smash burgers.
Okay, just because I guess the equipment in the room, the kitchen area, allows you to do that.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to hit a wider array of people by doing that. We're going to adding the hamburgers and French fries, and then I think we're adding mac and cheese always on the menu. Gouda, shells and cheese, and then we're adding. I think we're still kicking around the idea of doing the lattes and iced coffee. We're not completely there yet because we're still trying to figure out how we would do that, but.
So you guys are still developing. So when is the planned opening? They're looking at each other quizzically, like you're not committing to a date.
I think the window's pretty big. I think it's somewhere from.
It's going to be in November,
1st, I would think.
Yes.
Yeah,
sometime in November.
Yes.
Okay, we've narrowed it down to 30 days.
Yeah, that's going to be rough too, because opening a new restaurant and then trying to figure out all the Thanksgiving pickups downtown at the same time is going to be a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. So we're ballparking of when
Yes.
we'll be open, but because there's a lot of moving parts.
Maybe
I get
January 1st.
Well, if you got to get to the holidays, you might as well. Your dad had mentioned you were in Carrollton. I mean, like, what is your background? Are you the genius behind the sandwiches?
Yeah, I think, it was a collaborative effort. I came up with a lot of it.
Is your background in food prep and?
Yeah, so I was at 15. I was managing the Chick-fil-A in the mall here, or was 16. But we'd go to 2-a-days. I played football at Armurchie. I'd go to 2-a-days, and I'd work between them and after. So I'd go to practice. I'd come work lunch. I'd go back to practice, and then I'd work dinner. I was trying really hard to buy a car to replace the one that I wrecked.
Your dad's laughing now. He probably wasn't then.
No, I was not.
Yeah. So, and then from there, I went to UT, and I worked at what ended up being my wife's parents' restaurant, and we met there. And I started there. I was working the door, like I was a bouncer, and then it was about 11 months, and I was night manager there. So, and I didn't really do much in the kitchen there. I kept telling them, I was like, hey, I'm good in the kitchen. I know a lot of kitchen stuff. And they kind of kept ignoring me. And from there, we took a job with a guy that was running a vintage clothing store. And then, one thing led to another, and we talked about a restaurant, and we opened a restaurant there. And it was doing really well, and I took a lot of those concepts because I came up with basically the entire concept. He had some influence, but a lot of the same sandwiches, and then we just we brought them here.
And Doug, what is your background? You got in this business 8 years ago, but before that,
For 32 years, I kept kids with WinShape, and so I'm used to cooking a lot. For a lot of people. So, that's kind of been, I've always loved cooking. And so,
a lot of mouths to feed.
That's right. And,
every day y'all have a lot of mouths to feed now.
Exactly.
So what prompted the expansion? Just, you're doing so well. You wanted to give Romans another opportunity in a different area of town, things like that.
That basically prompted it. I think we keep hearing from so many customers that, wow, y'all need to really expand. And the first part of that was that, hey, you need to be in Carrollton, or you need to be in Calhoun, or we sure would love to have you in Johns Creek. I heard that a lot.
Wow.
And other places.
Athens.
Yeah. And Dalton.
God's country, as I call it. Oh, that's right. Y'all went to Tennessee. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we like Athens. But so anyway, that's kind of when the first thought is, well, let's do our second one be kind of close, but away from Rome. And we kept looking at that, and nothing really struck our fancy, and nothing really stood out that's where we needed to go. And then when Keith found this place, 10 Redmond Road, behind the CVS there and across from Harbin, that's when we jumped on it, and we were like, yeah, we could really see ourselves there. So
yeah, we talking about, it was always like, oh, we're going to look at places in Calhoun or Cartersville, but I think that the way that we operate, we're very, very hands-on. We're in there every day, running we really don't, we pretty much still run all aspects of day-to-day business. So it'd be hard for us to go somewhere like Cartersville and really split.
Yeah.
And one of us would be stuck in one place, one would be in the other. It'd be hard. But I think I think the idea came that if we just opened a second one in town, we could go between a little easier than having to go all the way out of town.
And maybe you'll want to do that one day. I get the impression y'all, if you're that hands-on, you got to find the proper manager,
exactly.
to be there in your absence, so y'all aren't having to constantly driving up and down 411, right. Because if you're driving up and down 411, the stuff's not getting done. So let's just for the sake of, making my mouth water, can we kind of talk about the menu specifically?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like you got signature sandwiches on your, so what are some of the signature sandwiches, and maybe what sets them apart a little bit?
Okay. So we've got the downtown turkey. It's our biggest seller.
It is the biggest seller. Oh,
yeah.
I'm a club sandwich guy myself.
I found that if you name something like that, like we've kind of kicking this idea around at the new store, but if we name some burgers after SEC schools, we decided, well, maybe if you want to sell a bunch of bacon cheeseburger, maybe you call it the dog burger, something like that.
Right.
Because everybody's going to come, there's so many Georgia fans in town. That's all they're going to order.
Right.
And they're also in turn going to just order a bacon cheeseburger anyway.
Well, I have also found, I'm sure you have, that in Rome, it's also, there are a lot of Georgia fans, but we're kind of sit at this. There's Auburn, there's Alabama, there's Tennessee.
There's everything.
We got an LSU guy sitting here at the table with us who's sulking because of what Florida State did to them the other day. but right, Keith?
Right.
Yeah.
That is correct.
I told you we could take this show into college football.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea if you kind of brand food.
Yeah, we were kind of kicking that. I don't know if we're going to do that. We're just kind of kicking that idea around.
But even if it's not the college thing, you put the word downtown on you put the downtown turkey, and that's your biggest seller.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then we kind of, we opened, so it was the Great Harvest Bread Company, and we kept one of her salads, and we called it the Harvest Salad, and that's our biggest selling salad because it's just a little bit of continuity from the previous restaurant.
And like what other sandwiches, signature items would you tell folks, hey, if you stop by, try this out?
All right. Well, we're selling a lot of the notorious PIG. That's what we call it. Yeah. Another homage.
Yeah. Notorious B.I.G. because, I'm the hippest guy in the room.
That's right.
So we cook probably 6 to 8 pork butts a week in our oven. We shred them down, and then it comes on like a hoagie roll, and it's barbecue, ham, pimento cheese, bacon, barbecue sauce.
Okay. My mouth is watering.
The notorious PIG, 3 kinds of pig.
And I also noticed, you said you do delivery.
We do.
So people call and order and deliver all over town?
We do.
Okay. They can order online or they can call it in.
Yep. You can do deliveries online.
Okay.
As well.
Catering. Somebody has an event.
We do.
So that's anything. That could be a work event. Or that could be a wedding reception. It could be
We did 4 wedding receptions. We've probably done 40 wedding cakes this year. We do a lot of wedding cakes, actually. People don't know that about us.
Well, I was going to say, I saw your bakery. Mm-hmm. You have cake, which that's kind of an unusual thing when people do think about a deli, but that's something y'all do, and you do it to a great extent, obviously.
We do. People get creative with that too. Like if they have a certain sweet from us that they really like. I know one person did a giant snickerdoodle doozy. It was, as wide as you can make your hands, and it was just one giant doozy, and they were cutting slices out of it as their wedding cake. That's pretty interesting.
And so cake's on the menu daily if people want to go in there and they have a sandwich and they want to get a slice of cake for dessert.
Yep. We don't have all of our cakes out at all times. We have about 60 to 70% of them out. But you can come out and get a slice of red velvet, slice of strawberry cake, downtown turkey,
key lime,
Diet Coke. You're good.
You look like a key lime kind of guy.
That red velvet caught my eye or caught my ear, we have to go to a pound cake or the old traditional vanilla with chocolate icing. Or it's not vanilla, is it? What's it called?
We call ours birthday cake.
Yeah, there's so
Almond Joy.
Yeah,
we had that out. I saw that earlier. Oh, that's a good one.
So, but wedding cakes it's one thing to have cakes, but wedding cakes is an art.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beyond the recipe, and y'all do that.
We have 2 full-time decorators. We have 2 or 3 part-time decorators. They do a ton of the decorated cookies. We take custom orders. It's the same price whether you order a custom order or not. But they've always got some kind of character cookie in the case. They're making those by hand. They cut them out and they come up with the design. It's really amazing.
At the new location, are you going to be able to do the cakes too? Or is that something that might not be able to happen?
So we're going to take something. So we're still going to use this as a hub downtown.
Gotcha.
So some things we're going to be able to take.
I gotcha. So you might prepare the cakes here.
Some things we won't be able to take, but some things we will.
You prepare the cakes here, and so they'll be able to order them there. Okay, so that's just a workflow issue for y'all. I kind of want to ask this. It's like a business question away from the specific business. In your industry, I would imagine a lot of staff turnover. Is that a headache? Or am I wrong? Do y'all have a good staff that has stayed with you for years?
That was one of the things that really sustained us through COVID. is we didn't lose anybody through COVID. And we have a great staff. Our staff is, I think if I were to say industry wide, we're above the standard. And we retain a lot of our employees. We treat them well. And so I think that they enjoy their jobs, and I think that they get paid pretty good compared to most places. And we try to pay more, and we're always trying to come up with benefits or something that's going to entice them to stay longer or to really feel like this is their home and feel a part. And so one of the things we just started offering is our full-time people. We actually do have health benefits now for them.
Good for you.
And hardly anybody does that in this industry because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But we make an investment into our people, and we feel like that they're always every day making an investment in us and believing in the product and believing in us and what we do. And so we in turn want to make sure that they're taken care of.
Well, and that just becomes part of the business in general. Your passion is the food and serving the customer, but you gotta, you gotta pay the rent. You gotta pay the power bill. You've got to hire and fire and things like that. So, has that been more or less than you expected?
Well, that's always, I've talked to a lot of people that have started some new restaurants and some new ventures and stuff in town. And I said, the greatest challenge that you'll have is, not supply line, not trying to get your food there or get your product there or distributing your product or whatever. The greatest challenge you're going to have is employees. Yeah. And, if you can fix that piece of the whole, business pie, then, man, you're really doing something.
Well, it sounds like y'all have done a good job with that.
We're working every day.
Yeah.
That's something that we work on, and I will tell you, it's a struggle. It is because we're beginning our process of trying to hire some people for the new location. We'll get 50 applications in, and out of those 50, we might contact 10 that are qualified and that are not somebody that's been hopping around from place to place. We look for longevity, and out of those 10, I might only get 3 of them that reply.
Really?
and contact us back.
That's interesting.
That are actually serious.
And then of those 3, 1 might show up for their interview.
Right.
So we've just narrowed 50 down to 1 or 2. And so that's the challenge right now, is trying to find the good diamond people in the rough, the needle in the haystack.
We found a good niche in college kids. We have a few high school kids that work at night, but there's obviously turnover with college kids because they leave for breaks and they go home and they come back the next semester and they don't want a job. So.
Because they didn't wreck their car when they were in high school.
Exactly.
have to find somebody to do that.
But there is turnover there, like in terms of a couple of little rotating spots, like the second griller or registers. But the core it's been the same people for years.
Good for y'all.
Yep.
Good for y'all. So just kind of some final thoughts here. We tentatively sometime in November we'll be opening
sometime.
If people are interested in working, you mentioned you do get applications. What should they do? If people listening, should they go online and apply, or how's that?
Absolutely. Okay. So we use Better Team as our online onboarding process. They can go to betterteam.com and see the jobs that we have posted there, or they can go and send their resumes to Doug'sDeliRome.com. And
Deli Downtown Rome.
Sorry.
At gmail.com. That's how. Send resumes there. That's how we're hiring.
Deli Downtown Rome. Yes. At gmail.com.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And you passed him a note like we're in class. Was there something else you wanted him to mention?
Our hours. We haven't really talked about the hours yet, and so this is.
I thought you were open all the time.
We're 8 to 8 downtown.
So we're going to this is a huge announcement right here.
Okay, breaking news.
Breaking news. Here we go. Breaking news is that we haven't decided on what our hours are going to be. So right now, on the air, we're going to decide, do you want to do 10 to 8 or 10 to 9 p.m.? at the new location. How about that?
Well, this might be a conversation.
This is
for another
exciting.
time.
No breaking news.
Here's my thought process. I think 10 to 8 makes sense, or 10 to 9, but I think on the weekends, especially, around certain games, you might need to be open later.
Okay.
Oh, so we're inside
See?
the thought process
Looky there.
here. So, but no commitments. We'll figure this
Right.
out. Okay.
We've had some conversations where we'll
10 to 8 right now.
Sounds like you're going to open at 10.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you.
Is it 7 days a week?
For certain? No, not.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we're open on Sundays.
Yeah.
For certain, we're not starting breakfast when we open.
Okay.
We do have plans down the road once we're more established, but I think trying to take
That was my idea. I wanted to do breakfast, and I got vetoed by the family. And so when we had our family discussion, everybody's like, "Oh, wait, Dad, that's
too much.
That's way too much. We're taking on this big, huge undertaking.
Baby
steps. That's what they told me. So I guess at 58 years old, I'm still ambitious and I wanted to do it, but I got shot down, and so I'm okay with that.
It'll happen. And one of the things we mentioned, this is a site on. I think you said Tuesday nights y'all do trivia night.
We do.
And do you do any other little things like that, or? But if you're interested in team trivia, go to Tuesday night downtown location, and you're playing for coupons to eat at
Gift
Doug's.
Cards,
Gift cards.
It's 7 to 9, and we give away 30, 20, and 10 gift cards every night, and then we give away at halftime. Whatever team gets the most points at halftime on just the halftime question, that whole team can come up and get a cookie out of the case. We do that too. And that's funny. People are really into that.
Oh, sure. Free cookie? Come on, man.
Nobody buys dessert until they know if they've won the halftime. And then once you announce who won it, half the teams come up and get cookies.
And the other half order dessert.
They're all paying with gift cards anyway. For past winnings. But
the other people, okay, we didn't win a dessert. We got to order dessert.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great. All right. Well, any more final thoughts besides the hours?
No, I think.
Well, just good luck to you guys, man.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
On the success, it's funny you mentioned. I think you said you've been open 8 years. It seems longer like that because y'all you're like an institution. You know, everybody knows where you are, and it is funny in this town when you give directions. People tend to mention restaurants. Oh, well, we're, just go to Doug's and we're a block away or whatever,
Right.
or the DeSoto Theater or whatever. It's restaurants get used a lot. So anyway, well, thank you all both for joining us. Keith, any final thoughts from Hardy?
No, we're glad to have helped Doug's and to kind of be a part of it, and looking forward to. They're going to be in our neighborhood over there on right off of Martha Berry, so we're really excited about that part of it.
Yeah, it's not a bad little walk or a short little drive. Nope. Well, thank everybody for being here. Good luck with the expansion in the new location. Look forward to visiting it, and thank you for listening, everybody. This has been the Hardy Realty Show. We broadcast from the Hardy Realty Studios in downtown Rome, Georgia on beautiful Broad Street. I'm Roger Manus. Thank you for listening.